Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land. Welcome back to 3MVTA. I am your host, Big Jake, and we are doing our second video of the channel. Hope you enjoyed the last one and hope you enjoy this one. So what do you say we get into today's topic? Today I am doing 10 of my favorite instants and sorceries from Magic the Gathering. Love this game, love playing it, got into it a couple years ago. And yeah, it's just really fun. Me and my group love playing it, and we have just tons of fun together doing it. So I figured I'd do a magic video. So, for the record, all these properties are owned by Wizards of the Coast, and my opinions do not necessarily reflect those of Wizards of the Coast. And all information and images used are used for review purposes only. So let's go ahead and step right in, shall we, at number 10. Revival Revenge. Now, I myself instantly took to this card when it was printed. Only printed in Ravnica Allegiance as a rare. Only cost you about $1, even though it was only printed the one time, and it honestly is a pretty darn good card. When you look at it, Revival, for 2 mana, hybrid Orzhov colors, you get to return a creature from your graveyard that's CMC 3 or less directly to the battlefield. Being able to return a creature card from the graveyard to the battlefield directly usually will run you about 4 or 5 mana. So being able to do it for 2 mana, even with that limitation on it, is pretty awesome. I myself, I usually play this for the revenge side. 4 generic, 1 white, 1 black. Double your life total and target opponent loses half their life rounded up. And that can be devastating. Out of nowhere, say your opponent's ahead, and then out of nowhere, your life total becomes 40, and then their life total goes down to 10, or whatever. And yeah, it's pretty amazing. And the other good thing about the revenge side is you do get your life gain triggers, because doubling your life total does count as gaining life. So if you're running Orzhov colors, check it out. You might be able to find a slot for it. Number 9, we have Disallow. Now, I myself, I'll say for the record, I don't particularly like counter magic. It's very frustrating. And I think everybody will agree with me that plays against it. But I will say that the rare occasions I do run counter magic, this is probably my most favorite counter spell. And because it has the options. Once again, having options way better than not having them. For 3 mana, 1 and 2 blue, you can counter a spell, an activated ability, or a triggered ability, which is sometimes can be pretty devastating. It might be, you can counter whatever spell you think will help, or, like activated ability, a planeswalker, putting a loyalty counter on a planeswalker is considered an activated ability, or, removing them to do it. Next thing you know, they're going to try to ultimate their planeswalker, and oh, nope. Sorry about your luck, buddy. Printed as a rare, only printed in Ether Revolt, which was part of the Kaladesh block. Running about $4 or $5, but it's totally worth it if you're running blue or if you just need a counter spell. So, number 8. Cleansing Nova. This is a rare, only printed twice, and I love this card because of options. Again, but in my opinion, every deck should try to run this card type, a board wipe, because you never know when it's going to come in handy. And this one in particular, for 3 and 2 white, you can either destroy all artifacts and enchantments or destroy all creatures, which having the option to do either one could be, game changing. You just never know when which one's going to come in handy for you. And it's just a really solid board wipe. And like I said, being able to do either one is just absolutely amazing. Only running around $1 right now, but totally worth it. So yeah, if you're running white and you need a board wipe, think about this one. It might work out great for you. So on to the next one, number 7. We have a 4-way tie with land fetches. I love running all these cards, but I couldn't figure out which one I wanted to put in here, so I just decided to do them all. That way I don't have to cop out and be like, oh, it's 4 slots are dedicated to fetch, land fetch, blah, blah, blah. But that's okay. So we have Circuitous Route explosive vegetation, crop rotation, and tempt with discovery. Now, circuitous route and explosive vegetation are basically the same card, but explosive vegetation only lets you fetch two basics and they come in tapped. Circuitous route, on the other hand, though, you can fetch either basics or guild gates. Well, it says gates, but depending on what colors you're running, you can fetch up to four different colors of mana this way, and that could be absolutely crucial to what you're doing. Who knows? Um, and then you have crop rotation. The reason I like crop rotation so much, even though you have to sack a land, is because it can fetch any land you have. It doesn't matter what it is, and if it doesn't already come in tapped, it won't come in tapped, which is awesome. So yeah, and then you have tempt with discovery, which, like crop rotation, has that part where it may not come in tapped. So that's awesome. But this one, if you play with a big group like I do sometimes, we play with usually anywhere from 4 to 7 people total. Um, you might be able to get 3, 4, 5 lands with this thing. Or say you're playing with a total group of 7, and all 6 other players decide to fetch a land. You just fetched yourself 7 lands for 4 mana, which is absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, if you need a land fetch, check these out. They're all they're all good priced. Circuitous routes less than $1. Explosive vegetation is running about $1.50 right now. Crop rotation 50 cents to $1, and temp with discovery is running you about $1.50. So yeah, like I said, if you need a fetch, check them out. Number 6, settle the wreckage. Just a board wipe, but the thing I like about this is it's 4 mana, it's 2 and 2 white, but it gets around pesky things like hexproof and indestructible, which can be crucial to a strategy because you know being able to target your opponent as opposed to targeting the creature, that's what gets around the hexproof, and the exile gets around the indestructible. So I myself believe that they printed this in response to Carnage Tyrant, because it was only printed in Ixalan so far, and Carnage Tyrant was this big old nasty dinosaur beater that couldn't be countered and couldn't be targeted because it had hexproof. So I honestly believe that they did this card specifically to counter that card. You're running about $3 right now, but I mean, when this was in standard, I believe it got up to 15-20 bucks. So yeah, great board wipe. If you need one and you're running white, this is definitely worth your time. And at number five, we have Worldfire. Now, this card, oh my god. The reason I like this card is just because of how ridiculous it is. For 9 mana, 6 and 3 red, you get to exile all permanents, all cards from all hands and graveyards, and every player's life total becomes 1. That's absolutely just stupid, ridiculous. It's only been printed once, and even though it's only been printed once and it's a mythic rare, it's only worth about $1. And I think that's because it's banned in Commander. They decided to ban it, and I'm assuming they decided to ban it because 9 mana is not hard to get to in Commander. For example, if you put this in a Gruul deck, you could easily have 9 mana on turn like 5, if not sooner, depending on what cards you're running. So, but yeah, like I said, ridiculous card. I can't wait to play this against my group, which y'all know is coming at some point. So, number 4, we have a very niche card, but a very awesome card, Zombie Apocalypse. This card is, you need 2 things to be able to play this card, honestly. One, you need to be running Zombie Tribal, otherwise it's probably not worth it. And 2, you have to be able to get zombies in the graveyard. So for 3 generic and 3 black, though, you can return all zombies from your graveyard to the battlefield, and then it destroys all humans. Now, in my group, humans aren't a big deal, but I know in a lot of other groups they are. So that might work better out for you than it has for me, at least that part of it. But I can't tell you how many times I've ended games by bringing out 15 zombies or something, especially you have something like Grey Merchant of Asphodel, aka Gary. You know, he hits the battlefield with everything else. So next thing you know, you're pinging each opponent for, you know, maybe 10 or 10, 12, 15 life apiece, and you're gaining that much life. So, yeah, if you're running a zombie tribal, cost you 250, but it's totally worth it if you can get those suckers in the graveyard. 3, the most expensive card on the list, Kindred Dominance. Now, yes, it's another board wipe, but this one's a little bit more restrictive because to get the max value out of this card, you kind of have to be running a tribal deck. I have used it before, not for that purpose, just to get out of a tight spot. But I mean, the biggest value is being able to keep all your creatures and destroying everybody else's. You know, so for 5 generic, 2 black, you can do that. I run this in my zombie deck, and it's worked out really well for me for the most part. Um, just a really good solid board wipe that gives you a huge advantage if you pull it off. Number 2, we have the most recent card on the list, Maddening Cacophony. This is a rare printed in the most recent set, Zendikar Rising. This is a mill card, and for my money, this is one of a couple cards that's been printed recently that has made mill a much bigger possibility in Commander, which is awesome for players like me. I myself, I love mill. It's my favorite alternate win con. Um, and it's just, I mean, what this does, for 1 and a blue, each opponent mills 8 cards, or if you go ahead and pay the kicker, so for a total of 4 and 2 blue, each opponent mills half their library. I mean, that's just absolutely devastating. And in Commander, to be able to mill properly in Commander, this is the kind of card that we've needed for a long time. You can combo this with a couple things and honestly mill an entire opponent's library out. Only running about $1 right now, but I honestly believe it'll go up a little bit, but only time will tell that one. So, and here we are, folks, at the end. Number 1 slot. Gun to my head, number 1 is honestly probably my favorite instant or sorcery card in the game. So let's go ahead and reveal Dark Ritual. And I know a lot of you were just kind of cringed, like, what? Yeah, Dark Ritual is probably my favorite because for a couple reasons. One, it's a great spell for the mana cost. Black is one of those things that ramping is not Black's thing. There are ways to ramp in Black, but usually it comes at some kind of cost or condition, like, oh, you lose life, or you sack a creature, or creatures have to die, or something. But this, it's just you pay 1 black and you get 3 black. That's awesome. Being able to throw this down on turn 1 and play something ridiculous. I've done that a million times. Turn 1, play Liliana the Last Hope, and you watch your opponents just go, ugh, you know what I mean? Or even turn 2, turn 2, having 4 mana on turn 2 in a black deck could be absolutely devastating. It just depends on how your deck's built. But honestly, that, and also the fact that I love these artworks. Okay, normally I like looking at the artwork of the cards, but something about Dark Ritual being printed with so many different artworks just really hit a note for me. So I'm trying to get my hands on all of them. I'd have almost all of them. The card itself has been printed 24 different times with 9 different artworks, 9 different artists too. So, but yeah, it's just, I don't know. I've always liked this card. I play it in every black deck that I can, and it's just a really good card for what it does. So, but that's the end of this video, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found some cards you never heard of before. Or at the very minimum, if you had heard of them, maybe you forgot about them, or you built a recent deck. You're like, oh yeah, that can go in that, or something. Or if nothing else, I hope you just enjoyed the video in general. So next time, I want to take a little trip with you guys back in time to 1974 and 1975 for my opinion, a show that was better than it was given credit for, not only at the time, but even now. So next time on my channel, we're doing my 10 favorite Kolchak the Night Stalker episodes. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you'd like to see more. And I'll see you guys. Same nerd time, same nerd channel. Have a good evening.